Good evening and welcome back to Mystic Matters. Once again, Tricia, we are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome back again. Okay.
We're
so
in the summer.
We are in the summer. We're in the thick of it. The Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, always in the thick of things. Because it is our season.
Yes. We try to be in the thick of things.
Yes. So what else is going on?
Well, we're really gearing up for the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival, August 8th and 9th. We're still looking for volunteers. If you're interested, you can contact us at the Chamber, 860-572-9578. Shoot us an email. You can look and find our emails right on the website, mysticchamber.org. And we're happy to have you. And we have some fantastic... For the next show, I'll have to bring in our logo with our beautiful new logo for our volunteer and resale shirts. So.
And just to clarify, Tricia, because we've been doing this such a long time, this is our 58th year?
50. Oh, now she's putting me on the spot. I think it is 58th. Yes.
Right. It's our 58th year. Josh Lyons, I just want to reach out to him. Josh and I have been doing the art festival. It was supposed to be...
58 years.
58 years. It was supposed to be, I think, no longer than a 4-year commitment. And I think Josh and I are on our 13th or 14th year. So I just want to reach out to Josh. I know he's back in the area, and to thank him for being such a great co-chair for all these years. We are aging. So if there's anybody that wants us, we actually retired.
And we pulled them back.
3 years ago. So we are back here in our community and happy to do it and support the local organization and the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. And as we go into the summer season and we talk about support and the wonderful community that we live, eat, breathe, and share the wonderful air around us, and it's the community of Mystic, Stonington, and of course Groton. So today we are so happy to bring back, and I want to say back because I'm not really sure if Peter Roper was here in 2008, but Peter and the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce and the community of Mystic have a very good partnership. So I want to welcome back the Mystic community bikes. So welcome, gentlemen, and we've got the whole, you're going to see the stand, you're going to see the bikes, you're going to see Peter Roper to my left here, so welcome back. But at this time, I want to introduce the current president, and it's Russ Cumming. Thank you so much for being on the show. So why don't you go ahead and introduce the rest of the gang.
To my right here is Jim Burke. He's our recording secretary, and he's been with us for probably 7 years or so. And contributes a great deal to our maintenance program at Sealy School. And then Dave Brealey, to my extreme right, is vice president of our organization. He's new with us. He has a small collection of 150 or so bikes.
More or less.
More or less, so you can say he's a bike enthusiast. And then we have Peter Roper, who's been with the program since 2008. as one of the original members. And we all are very enthusiastic about Mystic Community Bikes and what it can do for the community. For those of you that are not familiar with it, we're a nonprofit. We offer bikes for rent at 8 different locations throughout Mystic. Many of them are places like the Inn at Mystic, the Comfort Inn, Howard Johnson's, the bookstore downtown, and you can go there and rent a bike for a $10 deposit. You can give us your identification, and we'll give you a bike lock, and a helmet, and send you away on your trip around Mystic. And there are lots of things that you can do in Mystic with your bike. You can ride to many different locations, state parks over in Groton, which is Bluff Point, is an easy ride from downtown. You can then go from Bluff Point into Haley Farm, which has a number of very nice bike paths.
There you go, right on the map there, too.
Yep, and then if you want to go east out of Mystic towards Stonington down Route 1, about a 6-mile ride is Barn Island State Park, which has a number of very good bike paths that you can ride your bikes in over in Barn Island. It's a beautiful area, a wildlife sanctuary, and a nice place to spend some time. And if you still have energy left, we have a map of Greater Stonington and Groton that show color-coded bike paths where you can ride anywhere from an 8-mile to a 22-mile ride all the way out to North Stonington to the old fairgrounds and back down through Stonington Borough and back into Mystic. I've ridden that pathway many times, and it's a lot of fun. It's a good exercise, and when you get through, you're hungry.
I'm sure.
So you can go to one of the local restaurants and have a nice dinner.
And speaking of the local restaurants, they are one of your bike sponsors. I mean, as a nonprofit organization, you rely on sponsorship from our local businesses. And so explain how the restaurants work with you.
Well, what happens is we produce the Ride and Dine map, which has all the restaurants listed by number on the map, and we have their website and their phone number on there. And people can pick up this guide to local restaurants, and we suggest that they ride their bike, leave their car in the downtown Mystic area, and ride their bike to the restaurants, and that way they can have dessert, because they're burning all the calories going down to the restaurant and back again.
Wow.
And they pay a $200 fee for us to have the sign on the bike, and we have two representative signs here. One is for the No Ink Market, I believe, on this bike, and Ford's Lobsters is on the other one here. And many of the restaurants have participated, and it's one of our major fundraisers.
Excellent.
So,
Dave, just curious, since you have 100 and some odd bikes, why do you think it's so important to have this type of organization based here in Mystic?
Well, I think this type of organization is great for the community and the citizens, because it's an opportunity for people who live here to have a day excursion, or it's also great for people coming into the area as tourists to be able to use a bicycle, which is environmentally friendly, get some exercise, beautiful views all over the area here, and either riding up along the Mystic River or over to Stonington, down to Noank, to the various parks that have been mentioned. There's just lots of opportunities, and it's the bikes are very noticeable because of the advertising sponsor signs plus the green markings on the frame, so they're very visible out on the road, and that's very good subliminal advertising too for the program.
Actually, it's great to see them out there. When you're walking around, you see people on the Mystic bikes. Hey, way to go! Good to see you out there.
Yeah. But is this also another way of, I mean, we all live here, love our town. Is there also another way of just getting them off the roads?
Absolutely.
Peter, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Initially, in 2007, actually, I think it was organized. And I want to give a shout out to Tim Evers, who I think came up with the idea,
Yes.
and Trish Cunningham. And
Yeah.
you were at the chamber
Yeah.
too.
I
but,
was at the chamber at the time.
Yeah.
Trish was in charge of the chamber. The chamber has been very supportive, and I want to thank you guys for doing the program, but also for helping it get started, because I think Trish was actually co-chair in the initial stages, and
Right.
helped
She
it-
and I
helped
were
it get
actually on one
started.
of the first bikes. I remember
Yep.
because they said,
yeah, we did some programs.
yeah,
early
program.
on.
She said, you've got to get on one of the Mystic bikes. I said, I have heels. She said, doesn't matter. Get on the bike. It'll look good for the little newspaper that we're putting out. But anyways, but it's an idea.
So my interest was really the transportation, environmental, because one of the biggest constraints here is traffic and parking. And if you can get people on a bike or walking or in a bus, which we've worked on for a long time too, it would be a great thing for residents and for the people who come here to see Mystic. So I just thought it sounded like a good idea. I've been a bike rider. I'm not riding much these days because I'm busy, but philosophically, I guess I'm a bike rider.
Right.
But I thought it was a great idea, and I got involved. I guess I'm the oldest one, been on the longest, but I've got the shortest memory, so I don't remember all the details. But I really have to thank the community, because the community has really made this work. I've never been involved with an organization that took off so easily and quickly, was so successful so quickly, and it has had staying power. It's a volunteer organization. We depend on the community, and the community has been great. I mean, businesses have supported us. Individuals keep donating. And it has a real positive, I think, image to everybody, because it's, green bikes are a good thing.
Well, I really have to, I think, echo Peter's sentiment, because I know that it had been modeled after programs in other major cities that do things like this. But so to see something become very hyper-local and to succeed, and it instills a sense of pride in everybody that lives here. When we see these bikes on the road, we're like, Yeah, this is a program that, yeah, they did it in New York City, they did it in
Right.
Boston, but we did it here in Mystic, and it worked great too. So it's.
Well, I think once you get the residents and the local business owners in Mystic, when I say Mystic, I mean the community of Mystic, to buy in something, they're very loyal to that particular organization. Jim, I want to reach out to you just for a few seconds here. So what time are these bikes available, and what time can we expect to go down to these locations? Is there a start to finish time that they have to be in?
Well,
Go
for
in
each-
and come back.
For each location, you kind of live within the hours of operation for the location. So the hotels obviously are open early, out through late, and they're open to anybody. It's not strictly the hotel. And then if you go to Bank Square Books, you follow their hours. So whenever they're operating, they're open for.
So it's really
The
up to
bike
the
rental.
business's discretion on when they want.
That's right.
Okay.
And we prefer to use places that are open for longer periods of time. For a number of years, we used the Welcome Depot as a site, but the problem was that it would open at 10 o'clock and close at 4.
Right.
And people would want to return the bike after 4 o'clock, so they would just leave them there in the rack. So having motels and hotels as our primary entrance point to getting bikes on the road, it makes the usage time longer for them. And in several cases, I've seen the receipt where someone has rented a bike for 3 days, and they've kept it. They've come to stay at the Inn at Mystic, and they've rented it for 3 days in a row. And that's good. We like to see that because they're getting a lot of use. And some people have gone to the Howard Johnson's. There's one woman who comes every day and rents a bike during the summertime. She's here as a summer resident, brings it back at the end of the day. But they have become accustomed to it, and they use it on a regular basis, which is, we like to see that. Less cars on the road and more bikes.
Right.
You know,
And speaking of more bikes, so how many bikes total are there?
we have what, 67, 68?
I thought we were in the mid-ish 50s to
Mid-50s?
60s, something
Okay,
like
yeah.
that right now.
Yeah.
That's what's out.
Yeah.
And at the height of the season, Dave, are they all out?
We have some in reserve, so we do.
Wow.
We have different numbers in each of the distribution centers, and we've adjusted that a little bit depending on supply and demand as experience would dictate. And so Bank Square Books, for instance, has 8 bicycles, and we try to do weekly checkups, inspections of the
That's right.
bicycles to make sure the tires are pumped up properly, the brakes work, things are in good order. So that's an important part of giving the user a reliable bicycle to use. And as you can see here, they're all upright style too,
Right.
so it's easier than, say, a drop handlebar bicycle. And I might interject too that in the distribution webpage on our Mystic Community Bike site, there are a listing of the different distribution centers, and there are links to their websites which give the hours of operation. So if somebody's interested, they could pursue it further to see what the hours are when the bikes would be available.
Okay.
Okay.
So
wow.
Peter, do you have somebody that checks every week or every day to make sure that things are run properly at the
We
sites?
have a crew.
Yeah.
There is a
Three
crew.
of them right here.
So the
They-
three
they
of you,
check the bikes, usually on a Friday, I think, is when people.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Checked,
have
so they're
we
ready
have
for the weekend.
5 of us that are assigned to different locations, and we check the bikes every week, and sometimes several times a week, and make sure there are no flat tires, make sure the bikes are in good operating condition. We change the combination of the lock every month, so that everything usually is in very good operating condition. And if there is a case where a bike is in disrepair, like happened yesterday, we take it out of service, put it in Sealy School for repair, and then take one of our reserve bikes out and put it in place at the Comfort Inn. In one case, we had a bike rim was bent and the tire was destroyed, so we just put a new bike in its place. But it's amazing what happens to bikes when they go out. They come back and we're surprised. We wonder what
Right.
happened.
Right.
We've spoken of community support in many ways for the program, and I guess I would like to interject that the bicycles themselves are donations. They have been given to the organization by people in the community to help foster the program as well.
Are most of them donated?
They're all
They're all
donated.
donated.
Yeah.
Wow,
Right.
wow. You know, that's quite a commitment for this committee. I mean, it's not a long summer. I mean, it's a short summer, but it's a tough summer. So, do you guys take vacations? I mean, what do you do? Or are you vacationing in your own hometown? I mean,
What happens is we roll them out on the 1st of May and take them in at the end of October. And we then start our repair cycle in mid-February at Sealy School and spend 6 or 8 weeks working in evenings or on Saturdays repairing and maintaining the bikes so that they're ready to go in the month of May. And it takes a lot of effort for us to, go through each bike, make sure the brakes work, the gear shifting works, everything is in good condition, and then we bring them out and put them into service. But it takes a lot of effort from a very dedicated group of guys.
And actually donations from sponsors, which
Right.
allow us to
To
buy
do this,
parts
right.
right,
Stuff
right.
like
and
that.
maintenance.
And I think it's worth noting, none of you are bicycle mechanics by trade. This has all been something that
Self-taught.
self-taught
Yeah,
hobbies
It's amazing.
that's have. I mean, and the majority of you, I'm believing, work full time as well as serve on this committee. So it's even
Right.
it's
It's just
amazing.
amazing. You know, having served years and years and years on the police commission, a question that I have as a local traffic authority question: do you feel that our community is bike friendly as far as the streets and the roads? And is there any improvement that you could see? I mean, I'm looking at Peter because Peter and I go way back. I
Peter
mean, they
could do
should
a whole
be.
show.
You know what I mean? That's probably a different show. But I mean, again, as a police commissioner and
We've tried to work with the police departments in both towns,
Right.
and we've tried from the beginning to educate the people
yes, I
using the
remember
bikes.
that. Yes.
And because of the colors, and we try to make them bright so they're visible. I personally feel that the more people biking, the safer it gets, because if people are used to having bikes on the road and sharing the
Right.
road, which they're supposed to do,
Right.
I think it's better for everybody.
Yeah, this
The
is
thing about Mystic
great.
is it's fairly
Contained.
narrow streets,
Yeah, yes, it
and,
is.
and it's it's not a metropolitan area really. So
Right.
so I think the roads are a little safer than some places because people aren't screaming along at 80 miles an hour. But it's a constant thing to keep people safe, and we always worry about people out there with a bike, and
Right, but I think you
we
said
want the
one
riders
thing.
to be safe, and we want drivers to be safe.
Right,
too.
but I think it's the whole idea as this, I mean, it's 2008 or 2007 that it was in the conception, but I think the whole idea of getting used to this type of transportation, I think many of us that have lived here, I mean, we sort of have an eye out for these things. It's summer. The car has to respect the bike has to respect the car. And I think I was just wondering from this organization if this is you see. I mean, we don't see from the police side a lot of accidents, so it's probably
feel it's pretty safe.
pretty safe.
Well, there's a movement in the state legislature for bike-friendly communities.
Yes, there is.
And
Yes, that's on it's always
the
there.
effort is growing and it is expanding, and particularly in the West Hartford area, there are a number of organizations that are setting up bike rodeos and other activities for bike people to participate in the community. There's a West Hartford ride coming up this next weekend, and we would like to see more people riding bikes in our community, and we'd like to see designated bike lanes. But the state law requires 4 feet for a bike lane, and it's difficult
Yes.
to have 4 feet on the
Right.
side of the road for a bike lane in many of our older roads. But we do have signs out in many places that say that this is a bike pathway. If you go down 215 towards Snowink, there are a number of signs.
It's actually a bike route.
But legally, though, that's really not a bike path because it isn't 4 feet wide.
Right, I'm
But if
familiar
you go
with
to
it.
New Haven and you go to Stamford and places in Greenwich, there are bike symbols on the pavement showing a bike path for a road within the city.
All right. I mean, this area is to me, I've seen it very safe to bike ride around here. People in downtown Mystic are going slowly. You step out in a crosswalk, people stop amazingly. They give you
Yeah,
the right away.
especially on Route
I have to say,
27.
Jim rides New London on a daily basis. Or
God
I
bless
go a couple
you,
times
Jim.
a week.
Yeah.
Times a week,
to
okay.
work. But,
Well, interesting, and Tricia and I are a lot of, we fill up our weeks with meetings, and I typically have a meeting I serve as a trustee at the aquarium. So I'll leave my store at Majestic in the middle of the summer now, and I can't tell you how many times I'm like, well, I left on time. If I had a bike, I would be there. Because, I mean, it's not the bridge. It's the traffic. You know, and I think to myself, I many times in my car, like, I could be there by now. I know if I just had the helmet on. I look kind of funny in heels, Peter. But I mean, I would get there, and I'm very conscious on Route 27, especially Route 27, as you see people from the aquarium, the Golden Triangle, the Old Mystic Village, coming up to the seaport and really connecting to downtown. If you're not from this area, you don't know the back. I mean, some of us would go down Home Street, but if you don't know the back areas, then you are on Route 27, and sometimes that's
which again is really important with the Coogan Farmers being
Yeah, the
safe.
Coogan
They're
Farmers
going to
gonna
have a
have a
trail
path.
right.
to get you to
From up by
McQuaid's
McQuaid's.
and
Right.
part of that triangle area. So
Right.
that's a way to avoid some of Route 27, which would be a great thing. So
honestly,
I'm really
27 is the only tough road around here, I think. It's-
Right, because I think
everything
that's the
else is
most
fine.
congested.
Yeah, and it's
In
got
the
no
summertime.
shoulder at all.
Right.
So really, you almost have to take the lane, and you got to be careful how that all works out.
Right.
I never take it. I'll take any other road but 27.
7, yeah.
But if you're trying to connect, like, I mean, a visitor, I'm saying, you
Right.
know, if you were giving directions, for instance, from the aquarium to the Old Mystic Village, and you're this young girl behind the counter, and they say, "What are you doing the Mystic Bikes?" I mean, she would send them down Route 27. So.
Probably another way is to go up and around in River Road, which
Yeah.
is much prettier.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I think the River Road one is really interesting, and it's especially a good one if sometimes you'll see people renting the bikes and they'll be kind of uneasy, like a husband and a wife, like, oh, come on, it's a bike, you just get back on it and ride. And that's not always the case. I know personally it's a little wobbly the first. So just having interacted with people, I think that going and sending them down River Road where there's a little bit more space and they can kind of go at their own pace and they don't have to worry about, veering off or anything like that is always helpful.
Right.
So tell us, when they first come in, Russ, what is information that they get?
Well, the first thing we want is some identification from them.
Okay.
And then we give them a form to sign, which is a release form, and we ask for their name and address, telephone number and zip code, and email address, and then we have them check off on the back that they've been given a helmet and that they've been given a copy of the rules of the road, and then they're able to take the bike out and go for a ride. And when they return, we ask them to contribute the $10 deposit towards the program. Some people do, many of them don't, and then they've had the bike for the day. But it's a pretty simple program, easy to sign a bike out, and if you rent it from a place that is closed, you can leave the bike in the bike rack with the helmet and the bike locked to the rack at the end of your ride. So it doesn't necessarily, if Bank Square Books is closed, you can still leave the bike there, which we've had many times extra bikes dropped off there because other places have been closed, like the library, and they'll leave it down at the Bank Square Books.
And what is the age that you have to be in order to rent a bike?
Well, we'd like to see children at least 11 or 12 years old or older than
Okay.
that. Young children are more of a liability to us than anything, and our bikes are full-size bikes, so they're not sized for children. So if you're 11 or 12 years old, you're probably old enough to ride one of our bikes.
Okay.
So
The seats are all adjustable for height, and then, as you can see, some of them have a high bar step over, and then some have the step through. So
Right.
there's some flexibility for different ages, different heights, and so forth, too.
So Dave, just real quick, we've got a few minutes. You said that a lot of the bikes, but all the bikes were donated.
Yes.
How about the other gear, the helmets and things like that?
We purchased those.
Okay.
The bike locks, the basket, and the helmets for each bike run about $110 to $115 investment in each bike, because we have to pay for the helmet, the basket, and the lock.
Okay.
And then in many cases, we're putting new tires and tubes on bikes that have been donated. So we might have anywhere from $100 to $150 invested in a bike to make it road ready. And you know, you multiply that times the 65 bikes, and you can see we have quite a capital investment in our bike inventory. Okay. And we always need, you know, new bikes to be donated to us. You know, new additions. If we get a bike that we can't use, we'll donate it to social services in Stonington for them
So
to
it
give
keeps
to
on
a,
going.
yeah, to keep
Yeah.
on. It'd be a Stonington
Yeah.
social services or a Groton social services, so they can give it to another child in the community, so they don't get taken to the dump.
Oh, sure,
They,
yeah.
they get recycled through the community one way or another. And
So
it's a
this
good-
this has absolutely been a great show, and I
Yeah.
think we're all going to be on some kind of additional advertising, because that Frank Ficini, I just saw him catch us with another camera. So thank you guys for making us feel very special. But just a little bit of information, Russ. If they want to donate, they want to get in touch with you, how can we do that?
Just go to the website. You can send an email to the website, or you can leave a voice message.
what is
There's a
that?
phone on there. The website is mysticcommunitybikes.org, and there's a phone number on there. If you leave a phone message, I get a message to my smartphone, and I'll call you back.
Okay, that's
I had a
wonderful.
lot of people have called and asked questions, and we give them a response fairly quickly.
Thank you.
You know?
Dave, Jim, Russ, Peter.
I would like to say quickly
Yeah.
that we need volunteers. We
Yes.
need board members, we need people that just want
Okay,
to learn
very
more about
good.
bikes. It's a way
Okay.
to learn about bikes, because you can come work on somebody else's bike and figure out how to do it, and then work on your own bike. So,
Thank you,
so
Peter.
join us, men, women, even
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Welcome to come join us and learn about bikes and help
Thank
the
you
program.
so much. And thank you guys for all the hard
Thanks again
work,
for the support in the community.
Thanks for
Always.
having us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
thanks
And
for the
Tricia?
opportunity.
Thank you
I
so
will
much.
see
I will
you.
see you next week.
Yes.
We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Mystic Matters. Good evening.